Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados. Last time in my previous fighting fantasy gamebook episode, I finished gamebook number 20, Sword of the Samurai, and that means that, in accordance with my new tradition now, today I will be playing fighting fantasy Roulette, which, of course, is the really exciting game in which you play not just one book, but you play all the books. The rules are as follows. First of all, you decide where to start. And of course, a very good place to start is paragraph 1 in The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. You read paragraph 1, and then at the end of the paragraph, you are given two options, in this case, for where to go next, and you pick one of those. But instead of reading that next paragraph in The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, you pick up book number 2, which is The Citadel of Chaos. And then you read that paragraph number in this book, and then at the end of that paragraph you get new choices, maybe, and then you go to book number 3, etc., etc., etc. There are many ways to play this, of course. You can start on a random paragraph in a random book. You can pick a book at random. You don't have to play them in order, but I have decided, certainly for a little while, to do this in order. So I start on paragraph 1, book number 1, and I go to book 2, 3, etc. At some point, I will feel that I've sort of gone into a rut of doing the same things, or it's not a very exciting path to go, and so I will have to do something else. But for now, I will keep doing the same thing so I can actually compare results as well, and also make a kind of map, I guess, out of my progress. So, another rule that I have made for this game, just to make it a little bit easier, is to start with full ability. So you got skill 12, stamina 24, and luck 12. So far, that has not been what has killed me. It's been insta-deaths that has been my demise in my previous 3 times of playing fighting fantasy roulette. So, and last time I also managed to lose, was it 4 or 5 skill points, which is unprecedented, I think. I think that's really, I mean, in one single game, that doesn't happen very often. But of course, since I'm doing more than one book, sometimes you can get cumulative effects of bad things happening, as well as cumulative effects of good things happening, like bonuses, for instance. So, I'll just get started. So I'm going to start with the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and we'll take it from there. So, ta-da! Yeah, boom. Okay, here we are on my desk. I've got my some of my books. So I just picked out a few here just to get started. I'll just actually do them like this now, so I can put them in order. And then I've got my maps from my previous playthroughs. I'm thinking that today I want to turn left at the first option in book number 1, just to see if I can get, because I didn't get very far at all last time I did that, and see if there's any way I can actually improve on that. Let's get my character sheet. I've got my dice and the pen. I only use one color for this. For fighting fantasy roulette, as you will have noticed, I do actually use lots of colors for my normal mapping, because I want to mark places not to go in red. Sometimes I want to mark places I want to go in green, for instance, and sometimes I use black and blue to make sure that the path is not the path, but the map is clearer and harder to misread when it starts getting really messy, which it always does. One of these days I'll make an episode where I'll just show you, go through my maps, because I keep all my maps, all the maps I made through all my playthroughs are in this folder, and you can see there's, if I can get the angle right there's quite a few of them. I'll just go through those one day and just reminisce a little bit, but maybe I'll do that when I've done all the books, or certainly when I got to some kind of point where it makes sense to do it. Okay, so skill 12, stamina 24, and luck 12. When it comes to gold and things like that, I'm going to play it on provisions. I'm not going to do provisions. I do have sort of decided, I think, from the start now, I'm not going to give myself any particular way of getting extra stamina to start with. No potions, no provisions, and no gold. But if I need gold in a game, I might sort of decide that maybe I had it after all. But usually, if a paragraph refers to gold, it's usually it's only deducted in the same paragraph that you get something for your gold, and so it actually becomes irrelevant in Fighting Fantasy Roulette to think of using gold. So I'll get to that if there are any issues. Okay, I also got my cup of tea, which is half full, not half empty. I just noticed I said half full now, so yeah, my cup is half full. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. So we are starting with the classic of all classics, the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. This used to belong to a Scott Newton, and actually that's an idea I just had, by the way. What I want to do one of these days is I want to go through all my books, and I'm going to take a picture of all the names of the previous owners of these books, and then I'm going to go to the Fighting Fantasy and Gamebook forum or the group on Facebook, and I'm going to post all of these to see if any of them actually belong to anyone on the group, because I know that just like me, many people who are into game books today, they used to really like it when they were in their teens. But many of them sold their books, many of them gave them away, many of them, somebody else sold their books, like their parents took the books and sold them or threw them away, etc., etc. And then people have started rebuying them when they reach my kind of age. So when people in their 40s, boys in their 40s, usually, men, I should say, I guess, although we still want to be boys, that's why we play games, have started rebuying the books. But that means there are lots of books out there that may have belonged to someone who's got back into the hobby. So it would be quite fun to see if we manage to find any connections then between people in the group based on actually owning books that used to belong to someone else in the group. Yeah, I thought that would be fun. Okay, too much chatter actually. Although actually, I think that maybe certainly for something like Fighting Fantasy Roulette, where the storyline isn't very cohesive, of course, it sort of makes sense to do a little bit of sort of out of character talking and chatting and anecdotes and stuff if it's just suitable. Okay, let's get started. Let's make sure I'm focusing. Let's move this a little bit that way, and not sure actually that is the best place for it. Let's put it up there. Let's make sure I'm focused on my text now. There we are. Okay. At last, your 2-day hike is over. You unsheathe your sword, lay it on the ground, and sigh with relief as you lower yourself down onto the mossy rocks to sit for a moment's rest. You stretch, rub your eyes, and finally look up at Firetop Mountain. The very mountain itself looks menacing. The steep face in front of you looks to have been savaged by the claws of some gargantuan beast. Sharp rocky crags jut out at unnatural angles. At the top of the mountain you can see the eerie red coloring, probably some strange vegetation, which has given the mountain its name. Perhaps no one will ever know exactly what grows up there, as climbing the peak must surely be impossible. Of course, later in the game books, you realize that what is at the top, the not the green stuff, the red stuff at the top is a kind of sleeping grass, I think it is. So if you breathe in the spores or the scent of the flowers, you actually doze off. So yeah, I think so, if I remember correctly. Your quest lies ahead of you. Across the clearing is a dark cave entrance. You pick up your sword, get to your feet, and consider what dangers may lie ahead of you. But with determination, you thrust the sword home into its scabbard and approach the cave. You peer into the gloom to see dark, slimy walls with pools of water on the stone floor in front of you. The air is cold and dank. You light your lantern and step warily into the blackness. Cobwebs brush your face, and you hear the scurrying of tiny feet. Rats, most likely. You set off into the cave. After a few yards, you arrive at a junction. Will you turn west or east? So today I'm going to turn west and go to paragraph 71 in book number 2. Okay, I'll just put that back on my shelf there. We are in Citadel of Chaos, Steve Jackson's first solo writing game book, and I actually quite like this one because Steve Jackson, he leaves clues, meaning you're not just guessing wildly sometimes as to what is the right option. You actually have a clue sometimes. Right, and this starts now with a battle. You draw your sword and hack at the tentacle. The tentacle will not fight back, as will a normal creature, but instead is trying to drag you into a large hole in the ground which is opening around its base. You do not need to roll for the tentacle, as it has an attack strength of 15 and a stamina score of 2. Throw for combat in the normal way, but if your own attack strength comes to less than 15, do not subtract any points from your own stamina. However, if you do not defeat the creature within 3 attack rounds, it succeeds in dragging you into its lair, and your adventure is over. If you do defeat it, you can peel the tentacle off your leg and proceed to the main entrance to the Black Tower. Turn to 218. Okay, so 3 attack rounds to get an attack score of 15 or more, which means I need to roll a 3 on at least 3 rolls. And this is almost impossible not to get. So there we are. I did it. 218. I should start doing my map now. So we're starting with FF1. And I'm on paragraph 1, of course. FF2, 71. Tentacle. I'll just put that up there on my map. And then we don't have a choice. We have to move on to 278. So, no, sorry, 218. 218, not 278. And I'll put a line underneath to indicate that there's no option because this is relevant to where you can actually branch off. And I think there's several in a row now where you don't actually have an option of where to go next. In fact, I should put the line under 71. Basically, any time you get to a paragraph and there is no further option to choose, I think I'll just put a line under it just to indicate that. 218, book number 3. Let's see, that goes back on the shelf. You curse as you wonder who set this infernal trap. After 10 minutes, you hear footsteps and begin to panic, making frantic swaying movements in the air, trying to free your foot from the noose. So you're basically going from a tentacle to a trap. Then a small boy dressed in green leather shorts and green shirt appears. He is chewing on what looks like a chicken bone. He walks underneath you, looks up and smiles, saying, "Ha ha, somebody's caught in the ogre's tree trap." You ask him politely to pass you your sword. "That will cost you 5 gold pieces, or perhaps you have a nice magical item for me," he says, eyes widening. You're in no position to argue and must give the boy the gold or one of your magical items, if you have any. Make the necessary deductions, etc. And in this case, I'll just have to say that, yeah, I got 5 gold, don't I? So the small boy then passes your sword and runs away down the path. You cut the rope holding your foot and fall heavily to the ground. You get to your feet and brush the dirt from your clothes. To continue northwards, turn to 274. Right, so 274, and there we are. I did not have an option again. So that's minus 5 gold. I'll just put that there in case I start with gold one time. But I think that it's the big puzzle here is trying to find a path through. Oh, I forgot to say actually, victory conditions. Yes, basically you lose if you run out of skill of stamina, then you're dead. And also you lose if you reach a paragraph that just ends. The only way to win Fighting Fantasy Roulette is to get to a paragraph, well, a victory paragraph, not just a 400, but a victory paragraph. So it doesn't have to be 400, although most of the time it is a paragraph 400. Right. You notice a knotted vine hanging down to the... I'm supposed to swap books? Yeah. Almost started reading in the same book now. Old habits die hard, don't they? So I'm going to paragraph 274, but in Starship Traveler. Star Trek Traveler, maybe we should call it that. So it's very Star Trekky. Let's see, 274. They spring to attention as you approach, leveling their sticks at you. One of your party reacts in haste, going for his phaser, and a missile shoots from the end of one of the guard's sticks, hitting him square in the chest. Throw a die for each crew member. The one with the highest score has been hit and is seriously wounded. If you have your medical officer with you, throw 2 dice. If you roll less than your MO's skill, your over-anxious crew member will not die, but may take no further part in the action until he is returned to the ship. If you do not have your MO, or if the number rolled equals or exceeds your MO skill, you cannot save this crew member and he drops down dead, in which case I believe he drops down dead, even though I didn't maybe know I had a crew until now. The guards keep you covered and usher you into the keep. Turn to 91. Again, we have no choice but to go to 91. It's a non-branching path. And we go to 91 in the City of Thieves. There we are. Lots of people's favorite book, this. Never really was mine. It's all right, but I don't think it's the best by a long shot. It's very classical fighting fantasy, so it's got nice branching paths, some memorable battles and encounters. Yeah, it's got lots of good stuff about it. It does. You pass a beggar in the street. He is sitting in the gutter and holds an empty tin in his hand. If you wish to toss a gold piece into his tin, turn to 332. If you would rather walk past him, turn to 124. So now we actually got an option. Maybe I should start making maps here and actually write down the options. 332 or 124. Last time I did 124. So this time I'm going to toss a gold piece into his tin and go to 332. So just to see if that makes a difference. Right. And then we move on to Death Trap Dungeon, another crowd pleaser. And one of the books with the most insta-deaths, actually. What is that? 332, yes. And now I'm branching off from where I've been before. So my old maps will no longer help me. I'll just move those away. Your gem drops into the pool with a dull plop. As you wait for something to happen, you start to feel faint. The gas rising from the pool is toxic, and you slump to the floor unconscious. Ooh. Test your luck. If you are lucky, turn to 53. If you're unlucky, I am lucky. What do you know? My luck goes down to 11. So we got 332, and that is test luck. And then it branches off to 53 or 272. 272. And F7. Okay. So I am lucky, and I go to 53 in the next book. '53. There we are. A sweet smell floats down from the upper foliage of the tree, which makes you feel relaxed and drowsy. As your eyelids droop, you do not see a thick vine lower itself down from the branches above. It silently wraps itself around your neck and starts to squeeze. You awaken, choking, and try to grasp your sword, which is lying by your feet. Test your luck again. So that is test Luck again. 8. If you're lucky, turn to 256. So that's 256 or 132. Okay, and I roll a 9, so I am still lucky, although it doesn't really matter now because the outcome is, well, not in this paragraph, is it? So 256 in the next book. Right. Two, 5, 6, 2, 5, 6. I think I need a little sip of tea now. What do you think? You are brave, or maybe just foolhardy. There you go. Got me pegged. Daring to cast spells at the evil sorcerer. Ooh, that's what I'm doing, is it? Which spell will you try? Curse, fear, fire, illusion, or none of these? Right, so I've got lots of options now. So 274, 365, 385, 351, or 57. And let's pretend, of course, for the moment that I do actually have spells to cast. So basically now I'll just pick a random one, I guess. But I'm fighting a sorcerer with magic. I'm using magic as a weapon against a sorcerer, and I'm not a very good sorcerer. So what spell would I use against a sorcerer if I was stupid enough to cast a spell? Curse, fear, fire, illusion. Illusion, he'd see right through it. Fear, I don't think that would work. Curse, it would have to be curse. So I'm going to go 274. Next book, FF9. Okay, so we are then into Caverns of the Snow Witch, and this is one of the first books I played when I started playing again. I did when I started just over a year ago. I did Return to Firetop Mountain because I wanted to Return to Firetop Mountain. Actually, I just wanted to play it again, but not the same that I played before, and just to see if I still liked it, and I did. And then I played Freeway Fighter to do something different, and then I played Caverns of the Snow Witch, and then I just bought all of them because I knew I was going to play all of them. I might as well just get it out of the way, and now I'm playing all of them. So there we are, 274. I really love the illustrations in this book because they look like they are woodcuts. I really like that aesthetic. This is one of the best books for artwork, I think. Okay. The mountain elf looks at you in disbelief and says, "Nobody of good heart would wish to join the Snow Witch. I am only here because of this." Throwing back his hood, the elf reveals a metal collar around his neck which glows in the semi-darkness. "Only the obedience collar makes me serve her," he continues in a dour voice. "Only the obedience collar makes me serve her." If you wish to reiterate your desire to join the Snow Witch, turn to 22. If you would rather change your story and tell the elf that you intend to slay her, turn to 264. And if I remember correctly, the correct option here is to tell the elf that you intend to slay the Snow Witch, I think, in the original there. But I'm going to try 22. I'm going to say I'm going to join the Snow Witch. And in FF10. So, House of Hell, or Hades as it would have been foolishly called in America. Because hell is not a good word, is it? Okay, 22. So, there we are. "Lies," he snarls in response to your explanation. "You are like all the others in this house. I must destroy you all." Shouting this warning, he leaps towards you. Turn to 271. Oh, no, there's no choice there. 271. Yeah. Exciting stuff. What happens next? I don't know. Maybe something else will jump on me in the next book. which is Talisman of Death. I don't know. Actually, you may have spotted now there is another book lying on top here, and that is because I got the first book in the Lone Wolf series as well, because I was feeling that even though I've only just finished book number 20 in Fighting Fantasy, I am getting closer and closer to the point where I will be finished. And I was thinking, what am I going to play next? And one thing that I thought I might want to try was Lone Wolf. I've heard lots of good things about it, and I wanted to try it out. Just got the first book relatively cheaply. See if I like it. And if I do like it, I'll get all of them, of course. Not a big deal. Yeah, so that's one possible book to continue on one day. Of course, I've still got a lot of Fighting Fantasy left to go, and I've got Sorcery as well by Steve Jackson. So yeah. Where was I? Yes, 271. Okay, so book 11, Talisman of Death, which takes place in the world of Orb, and I believe that is also the one that is the world that features in, what's it called again now? The Way of the Tiger, is it? So yeah, this is quite a thick book actually. It's got lots of words in it, which is nice. I like words. I like lots of words. Oh, I got my first proper battle now. So you catch it by surprise and strike it a mighty blow. It hisses in rage and pain and lunges at you with its rapier. You must fight the envoy of death. Each time it strikes you, you lose. Oh, am I going to lose skill once again this game? Gets a bit boring, doesn't it? Okay, each time it strikes you, you lose 1 skill point as well as a normal stamina loss. Okay, so this is the Envoy of Death. Envoy Death. I'll just put Envoy Death. And skills 8, 4. Okay, let's see. At least it doesn't have a high skill. So I've got 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 7. I roll 4. I hit him. So he's down to 2, and he rolls 7 again. I roll 6, and so he is dead. I suppose, because he's some kind of undead, isn't he? So he doesn't really die. He's already dead. He's just dying from being dead. He's vanquished, beaten. I don't know. What do you call it if you die when you're already dead? Anyway. Right. If you win, go to 254. No choice, really. So next book, 254. Let's see. And next one is the exciting, not really, exceedingly boring, I thought, Space Assassin. It has some elements in it that I quite like different weapons, and it's got some meta games that are completely out of place. And then you get to a tank game that it feels like that was what was designed first, and the rest of the book was an afterthought. It's a little bit. I mean, you got the. It's something else. It's something else. I was very relieved when I finished it, to put it like that. I didn't enjoy it so much. Okay. 254. A solitary corridor twists past the exit for a while before ending at a door. You open this and step through. As the door shuts behind you, you notice that it blends into the wall. Looks like there's no way back now. Turn to 201. So 201, FF13. Last time when I did this starting path going west in the first junction in Fight Up Mountain, I ended up dying in Fighting Fantasy book 14. So I'm getting closer to that now. Right. Next book, Freeway Fighter, Fighting Fantasy game book number 13. Let's see how we get on paragraph 201. Hopefully I won't run out of petrol now. That would be disastrous, running out of petrol right in the middle of an adventure. Okay, here we are. Suddenly there is a dull thud, and the interceptor rocks from side to side. Roll 2 dice and deduct the total from the interceptor's armor. I think we'll be okay with that. I'm just going to, ignore that. If you survive the explosion, turn to 266. 266, and no choice again. F14, 266. Let's see if we can get past the Temple of Terror. Let's see. 266. The tentacles. What's with all the tentacles? There's tentacles everywhere. The tentacles carry... I mean, it's not even a Cthulhu game, is it? I mean, if it was Cthulhu, there'd be tentacles everywhere. The tentacles carry the 2 main nerves of the sand snapper, which cannot function any longer. Its hideous maw falls open and you are able to withdraw your badly cut leg. Lose 4 stamina points and 1 skill point. So again, skill goes down. Stamina -4, skill -1. This is also one of the reasons why you have to start on 20. So I've got 11 skill, 20 stamina, and 10 luck. After bandaging your leg with strips of torn shirt, you limp off south. Turn to 106. Again, no choice where to go next. And because there are so many paragraphs in a row now without any choices, this starting from paragraph 1 on book number 1 will at some point get a little bit dull, probably. And I will have to start some other way or pick books in a different fashion. There we are. So, next up is the Rings of Keta, which I didn't enjoy that much, to be honest. There are some strange flaws in the structure of it. I mean, I did enjoy parts of it really well, but it just didn't feel satisfying to get to the end either in this one, because you felt like you got to the end and you beat the master villain without really knowing what was going on, which I didn't enjoy so much. Okay, so 106. The corridor ends in a room. Unusually, isn't it? Spread about are gun racks and a few packets of blaster ammunition. A little gun cleaning robot rolls over towards you. Hi, nice day. Clean your gun. You push it to one side as you enter the room. A brief search reveals little more than 1 hand grenade, which you keep. You may use this once when you use it against foe or foes. Throw 3 dice. 3 being the number of the dice being rolled, not 2, not 4. Yeah. And deduct the total from the stamina of all the opponents present. There's nothing else in the room, so you go back to the intersection and down the main corridor. Turn to 340. Okay, so I have no choice again, having to go to 340. But I've also now got a grenade. 3 dice, so I've got a grenade. So 3d6 damage. All opponents. That can come quite in handy in some other game book. Okay, so right. Next, Seas of Blood. Most likely, though, I won't die in combat. And in Fighting Fantasy Roulette, it seems that you are most likely to die from an insta-death. Okay, 340. 340, there we are. Roll 3 dice. If the result is less than your crew strength, add 2 days to your log. If the result is equal to or greater than your crew strength, add 3 days to your log. So, not relevant. And we are going to 378 in the next book, which is Appointment with Fear. This is one of my favorites. And also, one of the cool things I like about it is the way that it uses clues. You can get clues at different points, but also the way in the paragraph that you can use the clue is quite clever, because it says you have to do this and that unless you know somewhere else that you could go. And then if you have a clue that actually leads you somewhere else, you already have a paragraph number. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And you can play it again, because you can have different super strength and the game will be different. It's really cool. One of my favorites. Steve Jackson again. Solo book. So I really like Steve Jackson's books, which means I'm really looking forward to playing Sorcery now, because I know that I like the way that Steve Jackson writes adventure game books. 378. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. 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 You fly up in front of the Devastator and land a heavy blow in its chest. The creature groans and turns to face you. The Devastator. Skill 14, stamina 12. Good thing I've got a hand grenade. I think I will use the hand grenade. I will take the holy hand grenade of Antioch and lobbest thou it at thine enemies. Yes, I will lob it at my enemy. And I'll do 3. Let's see, I'll need 3 dice. It does 3d6 of damage. So 9. Okay, so which means now it's got skill 14, stamina of 3 left, and I've used my hand grenade. And then I have to fight him, and this is going to be hard, even though I've already got an advantage now. So he's got 3 skill point advantage on me. He rolls 7. I have to roll 10 or better. I roll 6. Okay, so I'm down to 18 stamina. He rolls 8. I roll 11. So that is a draw. He rolls 4. That's promising. I roll 8. So I hit him. And then I use luck so I can do extra damage to him. So I need to roll 10 or less now, and then I kill him. So I roll 6. And that means I do 4 damage, and he is then dead. Ooh, good thing I got that hand grenade. Okay. So I defeat it and go to 119. So that is the, let's put this up as the Devastator. 14, 12. It's almost like the hand grenade was there, like it was meant to be played as Fighting Fantasy Roulette, so that you could actually defeat something with skill 14. That's cool. Okay. Next book is Rebel Planet. I really enjoyed this one as well. The game itself, the structure of the game is quite a nice puzzle in this one. And this also has a lot of insta-death paragraphs, so I am not too hopeful. Fingers crossed. I think this might actually have the most insta-death paragraphs of any book, even more than Death Trap Dungeon. I'm not sure, I haven't counted them. But I know it's... It doesn't take long to find the information you are looking for. A certain Professor Zacharias in the history department of the arts faculty is on record as possibly being the rebel leader on Radix. You make a printout of this information. If you killed Porky to get this information, turn to 209. Otherwise, turn to 74. And I suppose I couldn't honestly say that I killed Porky to get this information, and so I don't really have a choice apart from going to 74. I feel in this instance, it's one of those things. I mean, I do cheat when I play fighting fantasy games, as in saving my game and things like that, in a pragmatic way to increase my fun. But there's one thing I will never do when I'm playing, as I'm sure you've noticed, is I will never pretend to have found an item that I haven't found. And I will also never pretend to have picked up a clue that I haven't picked up specifically in that playthrough. If it's something that leads you to a different location. So there are a few things that I will never ever do, because that sort of ruins the game for me. But I will be pragmatic about other things to maximize my fun, as it were. So I will not pretend to have killed Porky, because I haven't. Simple as that. So I'm going to 74 in the next book, which is Demons of the Deep, and this is also by Steve Jackson, but this is by American Steve Jackson of Car Wars and GURPS fame, among other things. And he likes his very non-linear open world kind of books. He wrote Scorpion Swamp, Demons of the Deep, and also Robot Commando as well. It's Robot Commando. Where is it now? Can't see it, can't see it, can't see it. Robot Commando, yes, not Command, Robot Commando. Which I suppose is like Transformers meet Jurassic Park. I don't know, the cover looks like it. 74 is where I'm going now. Hovering beneath the great trapdoor, you hack and pry with your sword, but to no avail. The door remains shut fast. What is worse, you have dulled your sword. Subtract 1 from your attack strength whenever you use this weapon from now on. Oh, which means that I've actually got 10 skill. It looks like skill is really, really hard to maintain in this, these playthroughs of Fighting Fantasy Roulette, because last time I did a different path and I still lost lots of skill. Hopefully I'll get something back one day. Okay. What will you do now? Use the axefish if you possess it. Use the sawfish if you possess it. Go upstream if you have not done so already, or go downstream. So I can't use an axefish or a sawfish because I haven't got those items. So that leaves me actually with 2 options, 384, 84 or 221. I'm going to go 384, I think. So I'm going to go upstream because I haven't been upstream already. So next book is 20 Sword of the Samurai, which I just finished recently. And that I quite enjoyed, actually, even though it's a bit weird, the structure here, because most of the book is the end game, and you don't get much stuff happening before, and it's just like sort of, yeah, it's a little bit somehow. It could have done with being a longer book, I think, because I quite like the end game. I do. It's just I would have liked more adventure before I got to it. What did I say? 384 is what I'm going for. 384. You thrust your sword deep into one of its black eyes, and it rears back, uttering a shrill, burbling shriek. It thrashes wildly in its death throes, and you have to leap back out of the way. Presently it subsides and falls dead. And this is one of the reasons I really like Sword of the Samurai, because hardly any other fighting fantasy book does this. When you win a battle and you are told the victory paragraph in Sword of the Samurai, the beginning of the victory paragraph is a description of the end of the battle, and it adds so much atmosphere to the game. I really, really like it. You don't need much, just that little bit. And also I think they were quite good at in Warlock of Fire Top Mountain, they had a few instances of that too, where you sort of got the way they described what happened after a battle actually adds so much. So it's one of those things that I really like about this one. Quickly you rush over to Moichi. He is still alive, but only just. Blood is oozing like the tide from the gaping wound. His face is pale and his eyes are dimming. At least I died with honor, my liege, and in a noble cause. With that, his spirit leaves him. He paused silently in mourning for a while, honoring his memory. But you know you must continue with your mission. A search of the cavern reveals an exit at one end and a heaped pile of treasure, mostly bones and old useless weapons. However, you do find 15 gold pieces. Okay, I'll put those on my character sheet now, so if I need gold pieces in the future, I will have those. A shiny silver helmet of ornate workmanship, a bottle of greenish-black ichor-like liquid, and a magnificently crafted iron war fan, used in battles to signal troops, which is inlaid with a pattern of ivory that makes you feel nauseous to look at. Will you pick up the war fan and open it? Drink some of the liquid, put on the helmet, or leave the mold and go through the exit. Now, when I played this, of course, I remember I did not do any of those things because they all sounded a bit dodgy to me, and I was sort of feeling I was heading in the right direction for winning. I didn't want to risk that. In hindsight, of course, I think the fan and the helmet are both positive things that will actually have work for you. So I've got 182, 196, 2 110 and 222. I'm going to go 182 this time. And see what happens. So, and this is the one I'm playing next. That is Trial of Champions, the sequel to Death Trap Dungeon. Ian Livingstone, of course, same as Death Trap Dungeon. And of course, I used to have this book, but I remember I didn't play it much, and the only thing I can remember, I don't think I ever got to the dungeon. I think I just got to the gladiatorial games in the beginning. There must be lots of insta-deaths in this one because it is Ian Livingstone, so fingers crossed. 182. The room is empty except for a large bronze statue of a six-armed woman dressed in decorative silk and mounted on a marble plinth, and a curved sword in each of its other hands. And the idol is holding a brass lamp in one hand and a curved sword in each of its other hands. White smoke drifts up from 4 silver pipes placed around the idol. If you wish to take the lamp, turn to 311. If you would rather keep walking along the tunnel, turn to 109. I'm going to try to take the lamp, even though I'm not getting the lamp. I just feel that's what I would have wanted to try at least once in this game. So 311 and 9. So I'm going to go 311. And this one has... Actually, I can feel that this book has not been... This one has not been played before. I can feel the tension in the spine. Nobody has played it. Okay. So that brings us to the next American Steve Jackson entry in this series. Transformers meets Jurassic Park there. Robot Commando, and of course a dinosaur cannot bend its head like that. It looks quite wonky. Anyway. 311. Don't know so much about this one, but see, there we are. Test your luck again. Okay, so my luck is 9. 6. Okay, so I made that. If you are lucky, so is the luck. F23. 325 or 108, and that is 325 in my next book, which is Masks of Mayhem. Don't know anything about this one actually. Right, 325. Oh. A combat. Actually, it's a combat. It's fighting bats. The smell gets worse, and then you lose your footing and the accumulated sludge of generations of bats whose colony you have entered. Before you can get to your feet, they are flapping all around you, confusing you with their squeaks and scratching you with their tiny teeth and claws. You will have to hack your way out. Reduce your skill by 1 point for this fight because of your disorientation. Treat the many bats as a single opponent. If you win, you rejoin the main tunnel and continue east, but when you slipped over, you lost 1 item or 1 lot of provisions from your pack. Okay. Right, so we have bats. Bats 5, 12. And I'm fighting them with a skill now of 9, actually. I'm down to 9, and they got a skill of 5, so I got 4 skill point advantage. They roll 6, I roll 8, so they are down to 10, 7, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 3, 10, 4, 5, 8, 2, and finally perhaps 7, 6, and they are dead. I don't have any possessions really to lose. I didn't have provisions, so I'm just gonna go and ignore that. And as I go to FF24 and paragraph 370. And this one is also one I'm looking forward to, Creature of Havoc. It is another solo Steve Jackson book. Supposed to have quite a convoluted structure, quite a thick book actually. And in this one, you don't actually know what's going on when you start the game, which is kind of cool. 370. Oh, also it's got more than 400 paragraphs. Let's see. You climb up the staircase and try the hatch at the top. It is open and you climb through, but instead of entering another room, you find yourself on a secluded part of the ship, evidently the captain's private deck. You look around for another hiding place, but there is none to be found, and soon you are faced with an angry horde of orcs and a bit of spelling mistake there. It says horde, H-O-A-R-D instead of H-O-R-D-E. Easy mistake to make. Horde of orcs and hobgoblins who have silently followed you onto the deck. You will get to meet Jaradan Mar all right, but as his prisoner. And when he has finished tormenting you for his pleasure, you will remain aboard the galley keep as his slave for the rest of your days. Yes, it's an insta-end. And that is how we usually end this game. So that's the end of the game. So I got to book 24. Last time I took the west path of Firetop Mountain. I got to book 14. My record is still book 28 actually. I've also got to 27 one time. So yeah, not quite a personal best. And I am wondering whether next time I'm going to have to mix it up a little bit. And just to avoid repeating the same thing over and over again, I'm going to start on a different paragraph next time. So maybe I'll start on paragraph 2 in Firetop Mountain. The game will be completely different. Of course, that's the beauty of fighting fantasy roulette. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. I certainly enjoyed playing that. And I hope to see you again soon in my next Fighting Fantasy video, if you're not watching other things on my channel as well. My next Fighting Fantasy video will, of course, be to play Trial of Champions, which I'm quite looking forward to playing properly for once. And I will see you when I play that in a few days' time, probably. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, all those things if you like what I do on YouTube and other places. And I will see you next time. Goodbye for now. Bye-bye.